Hi, this is David at Splunk, and I'll be quickly going over the Splunkbase app, which is a new app that I'd written that helps you find apps on Splunkbase that are relevant to your installation. So you can either click on Find More Apps, or you can find this on Splunkbase, on the Splunkbase website. Now, when we click on the Splunkbase app, the app itself basically contains one dashboard, and that's it. This one dashboard has multiple reports, and I'm just going to go over each of them. So the first one is it looks at what apps you already have installed, and then it looks at what other apps users who have those apps also have installed. So for example, it'll look at a few apps I have, and it'll say what users also have those apps installed and what other additional apps do they have installed. So it's basically collaborative filtering where other users' behavior suggests apps to you just based on what apps you currently have. So based on the current apps that I have, it's recommending the Splunk Deployment Monitor, SideView Utils, the Unix app, SOS, and the Maps app. So that's not looking at my data, that's not looking at anything other than what apps I've installed previously, and users like me what other apps have users like me installed. The next window I'm going to go over is top apps suggested by index source. Now what this does is it looks at all the sources that I've indexed just by the name of them, so what path they're on, and it'll try to figure out which apps are most relevant based on the source. So for example, the Unix app is interesting because I have files that it cares about on my machine indexed. Splunk TA Nix, PCI, and there's one other. The one down here is actually top apps suggested by index data, and in this report is actually generated by actually scanning the data that is indexed, so not just looking at the names of the sources, but actually looking at the data that I have indexed, and then saying, well, which apps on Splunkbase would be relevant to the data that he's indexed. In other words, do they have similar source type host? Do they have similar event types, similar tags, field names? So based on the data that I have indexed, these three apps would be things that I should consider installing. The next one over here is apps suggested from recently indexed sources. So it'll look at what sources have I just indexed and what apps each one of them suggests. So for example, this top one right here, if you look all the way at the right side, it's Google breakpad.h. So .h is a C++ header file. It's suggesting that I install the Java C++ app on Splunkbase, which allows you to conveniently index C and Java files. Same for here. This is a info.plist, the second result, and it's suggesting the Unix app, and so on. And finally, the last one was it actually does a crawl of my machine and a file crawl and looks at which files I don't even have indexed, but that I might want to consider, and if I do consider them, what app I should install. So for example, in private var log cups error log, there's a file there that I do not currently have indexed, but if I do, it recommends I use PCI. Now if you have any feedback, any suggestions, any problems, please write to me at david@splunk. This app is 100% secure in the sense that this is not going out on the internet to get this data about these apps on Splunkbase. When you install the app on Splunkbase, it downloads a signature file of all the apps that are on Splunkbase, so all the data is sort of sitting in a data file that is used, so that it's not like it's communicating with Splunkbase or sharing anything about your environment. Everything stays securely on your machine. Please give me any feedback, any problems, any bad suggestions, and any other ideas. Thank you.